Hello and welcome to this video tutorial of the Clare Square part 1. Okay, if you've done another square before of the Reptine Jamie Cull, you know approximately how much yarn you need for a square, for an average square, including the square border. So for Clare, you will need approximately 4 times the amount. Just keep that in mind. If Clare is the first of the squares that you're making of this cull, or the only square that you're making of this cull, then there will be a few yarn statistics, and there are some approximates that you can find on the website. I am using a Bendigo yarn, which is an 8-ply 100% wool, recommended are 4mm needles. I'm using 3.5 because that my crochet tension is very loose, so I'm using smaller needles. And yeah, this is the leaf color, so I'm going to use that to make my square. This is a 200-gram ball. I'm going to be very curious how much I need of that. Additionally, you may want to use stitch markers. That's optional. In the first part you won't need them as much, but for the second and especially for the third I do recommend them. You'll need scissors, not yet, but later on. You will later on also need a darning needle, and as I said, some stitch markers if that's how you roll. I personally prefer to work without stitch markers because it makes it a little bit quicker for me to work, but I will show you some options. So what I just did now while I was talking was making a magic loop. So for the magic loop or magic circle, I'm just going to cross the yarn over to fingers, and then I'm inserting the hook, and I pull the yarn through, and I grab the yarn again, turn my hand, and I'm closing this knot here. I'm going to start with a larger first stitch and single crochet, chain 2 4 times. So that is our row or round 1. Single crochet, chain 2 4 times. Oops. 1 2 3 4 and the chains, and I'm going to close this magic circle. You can also start with a chain 2 and make those stitches in the first chain, or the second chain from the hook, the first chain that you made, or you can use a double magic circle. What I highly recommend for Clare is to work with the chart, which I'm doing here as well. So I'm just looking at the chart and working from the chart to explain in this video tutorial, and it's really great for stitch placement. So let's get started with round 2 now. So I'm chain 1 just to get me to the height of the next round, and then a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into this what is now becoming a corner space. And I'm also making a single crochet over the first single crochet here, and then I'm technically already in the corner space again. I'm just going to repeat this all the way around. So there is the single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and then the single crochet on the side. I hope that the light is okay. It's already dark here in Australia, where I am at the Sunshine Coast, and I have to work with those really bright lights. As you see, I'm working over my tail here because I'm just a bit lazy and don't want to weave it in. Some people never work over their tail, they always weave it in, splitting other yarns. I think it really is a personal preference, so whatever you prefer, that's what's right for you. So now we are already in round 3, and I'm just going to continue here without interruption because those first rounds are pretty straightforward. However, we have our first special stitch in round 3, and that is a picot single crochet. There is also a tutorial and an extra video on the channel and on the website, a tutorial page on the website just for the picot. It may not be live yet by the time that you watch this video, but I hope it should be, because at the moment I've got trouble with the website and I can't even turn it on. So there we go. So we start this side, the first side, with a single crochet, and then we have this picot single crochet. For that we go into the next stitch as if we were making a normal single crochet, then we yarn over and pull it through, and now we're going to yarn over and pull through the last loop that we made only 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Now we've got a chain 3. Now we go yarn over and pull through both loops, and I'm just going to work into the next stitch, a normal single crochet. And what happens then is that this chain 3 will be squished down a little bit and creates this little picot that is quite 3-dimensional if you look from the side. Okay, so that is all, and then we're already in the corner space. And just one word to the corner space. If you're working with a chart, there is with a corner, you see that in the chart, this is the magic circle, and this is the 4 single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, and so on. But if you look at it, we've got, this is one side, and we actually start here. So we start with a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and then we make a single crochet over that first one, and then again single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Yeah, so it's quite easy to understand and to see. So back to round 3. So we just do it one more time, and then we finish either on our own. So we go into the stitch, pull the yarn through, chain 3 only on one side, and then go through both loops, and by working in the next stitch we're going to anchor this picot down. So I'm going to do this all the way around, and at the end I'm going to slip stitch in the first single crochet of the starting corner. So that's the corner where I started this round, and I'm just going to slip stitch into that first single crochet, and I'll see you for round 4 then. So here we are in round 4, and we're going to again start with a chain 1 and the single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the corner space. In round 4 our first stitch is a normal single crochet, and our next stitch is a spike stitch. And it's not just a spike stitch down, it is an angular spike stitch, which is made in the stitch that is 1 ahead and 2 rounds below. So starting to count from this stitch, because this is the one that we're making now, we go one ahead, that was the picot, and 2 rounds below, and you see that there is a stitch just underneath the picot. I'm going to use my hook, grab the yarn, and it will come out under the 3rd loop on the back side here, and I'm going to keep this stitch here, keep the loop on the hook quite close, and then I'm going to pull up the loop to the height of the current round and pull through as if I would make a normal single crochet. Then I single crochet in the next stitch, and now I'm going into the same stitch just backwards. And there is also a detailed step-by-step tutorial for the spike and split spike stitch. So I've made that. That's the split spike backwards, and I'm making another single crochet, and that is the end of this side. So I'm just going to repeat that all the way around, and again always slip stitch at the end of the row into the first single crochet. So I'll meet you in round 5. Alright, so those first rounds are usually quite quick. They're very short. Later on, when we are in round 30 onwards or something like that, then it takes forever to get through one round. So we are now in round 5, where we start with a single crochet, and I've just made the corner, you noticed. And the next stitch is a picot single crochet again, chain 3, and over, and a single crochet. We do that 3 times. A picot, picot single, and a single crochet, a picot, and a single crochet, and that will bring us to the end of the side already. So that was quick. And then we just make the other sides, and we come together again for round 6. Round 6 is only single crochet and spike stitches, or split spike stitches again. And I think I've mentioned it, there is a tutorial page for the split spike and the spike stitches as well. So we start with 2 single crochet, and now we're going to make a split spike into another split spike. And in order to do that, we're going to find that previous split spike, and again I'm just going to grab this one leg here, and on the back side this leg is actually the 3rd loop, so my hook comes out underneath this 3rd loop. Grab the yarn, pull it up, and now pull it to the side, and now you can see where stitch markers can come in handy, because the question is, which stitch do I need to work in? So I'm going to work over this picot stitch, which means I'm going to pull this to the side a little bit. With such a short stitch, that's easy and okay to do, but with a longer stitch, then a stitch marker can be really useful. And then I'm going to make 3 single crochet, and I'm doing the same stitch just backwards. And again I'm going to make sure that this is tight. I'm going to grab this leg coming out under the 3rd loop on the back side, pulling up the loop and finishing like a normal single crochet. Now I'm working over the stitch, which means that I'm just going to skip it, and I work another 2 single crochet here. And then I'm in the corner again, So we just need to do this 3 more times, close around with a slip stitch, and then meet in round 7. Round 7 is filled with picot single crochets again, but first we have to make the corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the chain 2 corner space, and then we start with 1 single crochet, and the next stitch is a picot single crochet. So again, we insert, chain 3, again insert, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, yarn over, pull through 2, and that's it, and anchoring it down. Sorry, there was 1 single crochet at the start, a picot, a single crochet, a picot again, and now we're going to make 3 single crochets. And again, a picot, single crochet, picot, and a single crochet, and that's it. End of the side. Again, repeat it on the other 3 sides. Close the round with a slip stitch and meet me for round 8. Round 8 again is easy peasy breezy sneezy. We start with the chain 1 and the corner, and then 2 single crochet. Now again we're going to make a split spike, but this one is a little bit longer. So starting to count from the next stitch, it goes 2 ahead. Instead of 1 ahead, it goes 2 ahead and then 2 rounds down. Again, I'm going to grab this elongated leg here, and I'm just going to pull up the loop and be very generous. And now I need to really make sure that I'm going to find the correct stitch. It's really hidden. So what I'm going to do, and this is a good example to show you why sometimes stitch markers can be super useful. So I'm just going to place a stitch marker in the next stitch I need to work in. So now it's going to be much easier for me to find that. Oops. Fiddle fiddle. Pull it to the side. There we go. And now I can see where I need to work in and which stitch I need to work in. I'm going to make 1, 2, 7, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 single crochet, and then I'm on the other side, and working in this direction is much easier, so I won't need a stitch marker. I'm just going to go under the 3rd loop between those legs here, or between those loops. I'm skipping the stitch, which is replaced by the split spike -2 this time, and I finish with 2 single crochet. See, my piece starts to get a little bit wobbly. Maybe I would have needed to use a bigger hook. This is the first time that I'm working with this yarn, so I just need to get used to it, and then we find a way to make this work. Because I'm working with cotton yarn as well, and that does not wobble as much here. But just in case, if it wobbles, try to adjust your your hook, or just make sure that all of these spike stitches are really loose. So maybe this is too stretchy. You can see that it is quite stretchy. Maybe I need to be even looser. So you can try that for your work, for your project, and for your kind of yarn. Okay, so that is round 8, at least it is one side of round 8, and I'm going to close this round and meet you in round 9. And round 9 is a picot round again. Well, we have lots and lots of picots. Well, not that many, it's just 4. So we start with 1 single crochet after the corner, then a chain 3, picot stitch, single crochet, another picot, 1, 2, 3 chains, and now I think it's 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I am a bit concerned about the wobbling, so I'm going to make my tension significantly looser. And then there is another picot here, 1, 2, 3, single crochet, picot, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, yep, and finishing the side with a single crochet. And before you're going to witness a cat fight, I'm just going to finish off. So you finish this side, and I meet you for round 10 when you close this round. We are now in round 10, which is half time for part 1. We got up to round 20 in our part 1. So round 10, we start with 7 single crochet. Oops. And then we're going to make another split spike. So we count ahead from the next stitch. We count ahead 1 and 1, 2 rounds down. What you actually can do, I'm just going to show you, if you want to make normal spike stitches, you can just go underneath this stitch here instead of splitting it. Or if you want a longer spike, what you can do then is go 1 round deeper for this one. But it's totally up to you. I'm going to make the stitch as it is designed, which is 1 ahead and 2 rounds below. I'm going to pull it to the side, and then I'm just making sure I'm working over this stitch here, which means I'm just going to single crochet in the stitch that is above this one here, and now I go back in the same stitch, just grabbing that leg and or that bar and pulling it to the side. And I'm trying to be very generous here with my yarn. And then it's just single crochet another 7 up to the end of the side, and that's it for round 10. So as usual, just repeat on the other 3 sides, and then I'm going to meet you for round 11. In round 11, where I'm going to introduce you to a new stitch, or I'm going to introduce a new stitch to you, which is just a variation of the picot single crochet. We start with 2 single crochet after the corner, and now we're going to make the PSC X, the variation of the picot single crochet. We need to do that because the stitch that follows afterward is a special stitch, and we need to anchor that picot down properly. In order to do that, we go into the front loop of the next stitch only. Then we work as normal, doing our 3 chains, 1, 2, 3. And then before we yarn over, we go in the back loop of the same stitch, yarn over, and then we pull it through all 3 loops on the hook. So with that, it's anchored down, and now we're going to make our special stitch, which is again a split spike into that other split spike. So now we're going to make our split spike again, which is 2 stitches ahead and 1, 2, 3 stitches below. Oh, before I do that, I'm going to make sure I find the next stitch to work in. So this is the stitch I need to work in later on, after I finished that split spike here. That's it. Okay. And then the next stitch is again a picot single crochet. And now I'm going to make 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9. I'm going to make 9 single crochets all together. 8. Let me double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go. That's it. So I made my 9 single crochet, and again I'm going to make this special picot stitch where I go in the front loop only, 3 chains, and then I go in the back loop of the same stitch. So I've got 3 loops on the hook, and I yarn over, and I'm going to pull the yarn through all 3 loops here. So, and sometimes you may have noticed already, you just need to pull this picot a little bit forward. So now I'm going into that split spike again. Pulling the yarn to the side and up, and then I make another picot, this time a normal picot, and 2 single crochet to finish that round. Okay, so all you need to do is to work the other 3 sides and again close with a slip stitch, and I meet you for round 12. We're now making round 12, starting with the normal corner, single crochet, chain 2 and single crochet into the corner space. Then 4 normal single crochet, 4. Now we're going to make a PSC, a picot single crochet. Again, 3 chain through both, and we just continue in the next stitch, 3 more normal single crochets. Now we're going to prepare to make a split spike, and because we're going forward in an angle, I'm going to place a stitch marker just as a quick reference for me to see where I will be working into next. And I'm going to make the split spike, which means I'm going between those elongated bars, and then I pull the loop up to the height and a little bit to the side, and then I go into the next stitch, which is a normal single crochet, and then one more picot, single crochet, another normal single crochet again, and now we're going back. So again, I'm going to place a stitch marker for quick reference, even though I'm going backwards, which means it's easier to find the next stitch than on this side. Makes my life even more easy just to place that stitch marker. And again, I'm going between those elongated bars of the stitch, pull the loop up and pull it a little bit to the side and close the stitch like a normal single crochet. Then I go into the next stitch, 3 single crochet there, or from there, another picot, single crochet, and finish the side with 4 normal single crochet. And the first of the corner, and that is the first side of round 12. You just repeat on the other sides and then close the round with a slip stitch in the first single crochet of the starting corner, and I meet you in the next round, round 13. Round 13 is a very easy peasy round again, with only single crochet and single crochet in the back loop. We start with 3 single crochet, and then 1 in the back loop, another 15 single crochet. I'm going to speed this up. So 15, and then 1 single crochet in the back loop again, and we finish with 3 single crochet, and that's the end of this side. Just the one for the corner. And if you want to use stitch markers, you can place them in those 3 front loops here. So place a stitch marker in this 3 front loop, and 1 in this. And then you can do that all the way around, or just on one side, whichever you prefer with the stitch markers. But of course, you go all the way around, close with a slip stitch into the first single crochet of the starting corner, and then we meet again for round 14. So this is now round 14. Stitch wise, it's an easy round. I think you've done everything before. You just need to count your stitches, starting with 3 single crochet. Now you're going to make a single crochet in the back loop only, a single crochet, and another back loop only. And you can just easily check your stitch count and look that these 3 front loops are on either side of the 3 front loop from the previous round. 3 more single crochet, And now we're going to make a split spike, which means I'm going to mark my next stitch for easy reference, for easy find. We're going to split this previous split spike here. So we go between those elongated bars, pull the loop up and a little bit to the side, and then I'm going to insert my hook in the next stitch, take the stitch marker out, and we're going to make a picot single crochet. So just 3 chains over the second chain, and then yarn over and pull through both. We continue just normally on the next in the next stitch. 3 single crochet all together, and then we're going to make a picot single crochet in that special variation where we only go in the front loop. Then we make our 3 chains as normal, and then we insert the hook in the back loop only of the same stitch. We yarn over and we go through all 3 loops on the hook. And if this doesn't come forward, we just pull it a little bit. That's all good. And we make the stitch because we follow it with a special stitch, and we need to anchor it down. The next stitch again is going to be a split spike. I'm going to mark the next stitch again for easy reference, and then I insert the hook between those 2 legs, and on the back side the hook will come out under the 3rd loop. And again pull up to the height of the current round, give a little bit extra for pulling it to the side, and then this is my next stitch. 3 single crochet, back loop only, single, back loop, and again 3 single crochet, and then 1 for the corner. So that's one side of round 14, and if you want to use stitch markers, you can put them in those 3 front loops. So you will have 4 altogether, 1 and 2, 1 on either side of this from the previous round, and again on the other side 1 and 2, and that's it. So just continue on the other 3 sides, and then close around with a slip stitch into the first single crochet of the starting corner, and we meet in the next round, which is round 15. Round 15 is again easy. There is just one tricky bit that we need to be careful of, and it's very close at the beginning. So we start with a corner and then 1 single crochet, and our next stitch is a spike stitch that is made into the corner space. Now we make this spike stitch, it's a -1 -2, which means that we're going 1 stitch back from the next stitch, 1 stitch back and 2 rounds below. So that's 1, 2, and that's where we are in the corner. Now that's the corner of round 13. This is the corner space of round 15, the one that we're currently working in. This is the corner space of round 14, and this is the corner space of round 13. So this is the one that we work into, 15, 14, 13. I'm going to mark my next stitch, and then just make a spike stitch into this corner. And now I'm going to work in the next stitch. And from here it's only single crochet in the back loop towards the next round. So 3 more single now, another back loop stitch, single crochet in the back loop, five single crochet, another one in the back loop only, 5 single crochet again, and again in the back loop only, and then 3 single crochet, single crochet in the back loop only, and one more single crochet. You can just check your single crochets. They should be again one out in comparison to the ones that you made in the previous round, one out on either side. Now on this side, this is our second corner, so we have not made the first corner like we did here. So this is the space of round 14, and this is the space of round 13, which is where we are going to work into for the spike stitch. Now it's a +1 -2. We just work into that, and then we of course skip this stitch that is encompassed by the spike stitch, and there is one more single crochet to go and an extra for the corner here. So that is round 15. It's actually really not that hard. You just need to count your stitches and be mindful that you've got the correct stitch count and where you place your stitches. That's all. And then you just repeat that on the other 3 sides, and then slip stitch in the first single crochet of the starting corner, and that's your round 15 done. And we meet in round 16. In saying that, I totally forgot the stitch marker placement. So again, you can just choose whichever color you like. For me, that's color C. That's green. And I'll put one stitch marker in each of those 3 front loops. And as I said, you can check your front loops. They should now form a little triangle, those 3 front loops. There's 1, 2 on either side, or 2, 1 on either side, and again 2, 1 on either side of that one, and the same here. So on both sides, symmetrical on the side. Looking at the pattern, round 16 looks very busy, and it is, but it is not as difficult as it may seem. We start the round with a single crochet after the corner, of the starting corner, and our next stitch will be a spike stitch that goes straight down. So we from this here, this is our next stitch, we go straight down 3 rounds. 1, 2, and 3 rounds means we go into the corner, and it's the same corner in which we already made the spike stitches in the previous round. So we just make that spike stitch, and we follow with 2 single crochet. Now we have a big long spike stitch again, which is -2, -4. So we go backwards, starting from the next stitch, and we stay in this round, not counting this round. Okay, so from the next stitch we go back 1, 2, and now we can't really see very well, which is why I'm letting you know. It's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we are 1 corner space below the previous spike stitches, and that's where we place this spike stitch. Because even though I'm going backwards, because I'm making a spike stitch, I'm just going to put in my stitch marker temporarily as a reference. So remember, we go into the corner that is the corner from round 12, one round below this corner where we already have 2 spike stitches. So there we are, and I know this is going to be my next stitch, and it's a single crochet, one single crochet. Now we're going to work into the 3 front loops marked with those stitch markers. I'm going to take them all out now so I can better show you, and you can do that bit by bit as you work into them if you have difficulty finding those 3 front loops. So the first leg goes into the first of those 3 front loops which were made in the previous round, and we pull up just slightly for the first leg. The second leg goes into the stitch that was marked with color B. In my case that was the blue stitch marker. Also pulling it up and then almost finishing it. Just yarn over and pull through once. The second was the stitch marker color A. In my case that was red. And we'll pull that up so they're all at the same height. Like that. And now we're going back to the green one. We're going up one higher. And there's a really detailed step-by-step tutorial for this stitch. And the last one. So now we've got 6 loops on the hook, and we pull through all 6 loops, and you see we just want to get this a little bit tighter, so we close with a chain 1. In the next round you can choose whether you want to work into this chain 1 or whether you want to work in this stitch. It doesn't really make much difference. Just remember that there is an extra chain and we are not going to work into this or into both. So we skip one stitch behind this special stitch now, and we continue in the next. 2 single crochet and then again a spike stitch. This one will be worked again into the already existing spike stitch here, and we're going to split, so it's a split spike, and you know how to do them by now. And see how good it was to have that stitch marker mark my next stitch here. Very easy to find. We follow that up with a single crochet. Now we have a picot single crochet, another single crochet, and then a DC, or if you want you can make a half treble. Maybe it's a bit more defined with a half treble, depending on your tension, into that 3 front loop. And I'm sorry I haven't marked that. Totally forgot to let you know. There is a 3 front loop in the middle of the side, and we work a DC or a half treble into that 3 front loop. Followed, again skipping the stitch behind, and followed by a single crochet. And then one more. DC. Again we skip the stitch behind the DC, follow with a single crochet, and we make one more picot stitch, picot single crochet, just a normal one, follow with a single crochet. And now we work backwards again. Nevertheless, I'm going to place my stitch marker temporarily. Again we work into that existing spike stitch here, and we split it, so we make a split spike, yep, I'm in the right position, pull it up and allow a little bit extra to pull it to the side. So this is the last stitch I worked in, and this is the stitch I'm working over. See, and when I go into the next stitch, that pulls my spike to the side. Again, a single crochet, actually 2. And now here again for the long DC star. Let me try to do it with a stitch marker. So that's the first leg. We just go from one side to the other. Second leg, third leg, the fourth leg, and the last one. Pull through all 6 loops on the hook and 1 extra chain to close. And then again we skip the stitch behind this DC star, long DC star, and we make 1 single crochet. And now on this side it's maybe a little bit easier to see. There's so much in the way. Let me get them out. We're going to work a spike stitch +2, or split spike +2 -4. So we go 2 ahead from the next stitch. This is the next stitch. 1, 2 ahead, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds down. See, I'm going to keep this loop tight here, and then I just allow the split spike here. This is my next stitch. See, I didn't mark it this time, totally forgot. 2 single crochet, and then again we've got that spike into the same corner as the already existing ones, and we finish with 1 single crochet. Let me just continue around the corner because I wanted to show you how easy it is to follow from here. Because in the next we start again with 1 single crochet, and the next stitch is that spike stitch again into the corner, and you see there's already 1 here, so it's really easy to find. And then we know the next stitch is this one here, the spike stitch that we have to work into. And we just make 2 single crochet, and then there is already 1 stitch that shows us where we need to place this next spike stitch. So it's very easy to find. So that's it, we just continue. Would you like a crochet along round? Maybe we do that. I don't have stitch markers in here. Let me give you a crochet along round. So we have 1 single crochet after this spike, and now we do the long DC star. We find the first free front loop that's closest to this round, then the next, like 2, then the one that's furthest down directly below the stitch that we're making, that's 3, 1 to the side and up, 4, 1 to the side and up, 5. Now we go through all 6, skip the stitch behind, continue in the next, 2 single crochet, then the spike, split spike, place the stitch marker temporarily, go into the split spike and split it again, those elongated bars, follow up with 1 single crochet, a picot single crochet, a normal single crochet, and let me just do the half treble for a change, so you can see that it's a little bit more defined. With my intention with My crochet tension is very loose, so I am usually fine with a DC, but the half treble gives me even more definition. And again, so I made a single crochet after the half treble, and now one more half treble, always skipping the stitch behind those special stitches. One more single crochet and then a picot single crochet. Another single crochet to anchor this picot stitch down, and then we go backwards into this spike stitch, checking, oops, I split the yarn, don't want to do that, that's okay. And just pulling it up, giving a bit extra for the side, go into the next and make a single crochet and another single crochet, and now we'll make the long DC star again. Find the furthest up and back, one down and to the side, the furthest down in the middle, the next one up and out, and again one up and out. Close through all 6, skip the stitch behind, one single crochet, and then we go again into this corners here, in the corner space, with that long split spike. Actually it's only a spike stitch because we're not splitting anything in the corner. Then 2 single crochet, another spike in the same corner as the ones we made previously, and we finish the round, or the side, with 1 single crochet, and we'll make an extra for the corner. So here we are, 2 sides already, and you just, if you followed along, you just have to make another 2 and then finish with a slip stitch in the first single crochet of the starting corner, and you get rid of all your stitch markers if you use them, which is great. And then we meet again for round 17. Round 17 is almost too easy to even justify the video. Nevertheless, we're going to go through it. So starting with the corner, single crochet, chain 2 single crochet, and then 1 single crochet, and then we work into the corner space, leaving 1 free, and then the next up from the one we worked in previously. So if you want to count down, we're now in round 17, so we work in the corner space of round 17, 16, 15. So to show you correctly, this is the corner space of round 17, corner space of round 16, corner space of round 15, or just leaving 1 free and then working into the next if you want to count up. And again, we're going to make a spike stitch. Give it some room. And from here it's 13 single crochet. And working over the long DC star, you just have to make a decision whether to work in the main loops or in the chain, the closing chain. I'm going to work in the main loops, and then you skip the closing chain. Now I lost my stitch count, but if that happens to you, it's easy to know where you should be making the next stitch that is not a single crochet but a single crochet in the back loop, which is between those DCs from the previous round. So into that single crochet that we made in between those, we'll make a single crochet in the back loop only, and then again 13 single crochet. Seven and 8, and again deciding in which part of the long DC to work into, and I'm skipping the closing chain, so that's 9, 10, 11, 12 and 13, or until you have 2 stitches left to work into. And then again, we haven't made that corner space yet, so this is the corner space of round 16 and this is the corner space of round 15, which is why it looks as if this is higher. But if you look here, this is where we worked into last. Round 14 we leave free, and then round 15 we work into. And the same, you know, working around the corner, same applies what I showed you in the previous crochet alongside, where you just easily find the same corner that you worked into before. If you experience that your work is curling a little bit, if it's, you know, wavy, that's quite normal at this stage. Either it will adjust itself, or blocking will definitely adjust that. So don't worry if it's very wavy. Look at mine, it's really wavy now. Not sure whether you can see that at this stage, but it will just straighten up a bit more once we go to part 2. So don't worry about it. So if you want, you can place a stitch marker into this free front loop and then continue on the other sides and close with a slip stitch in the first single crochet as always, and then we meet again for round 18. So in round 18 you're just going to have to count a little bit, but there is nothing really new except a new combination. So let's start first with a single crochet after the corner, and then, as you've already done before, the spike stitch into the corner. That's the 0 minus 3. 6 single crochet, and then the next stitch is a new one. For that, I really urgently suggest to use this stitch marker, and you will see why in a moment. Just for reference, where the next stitch is to be found. So now we're going to make a split spike 2 together, and the first leg of this 2 together split spike goes into that long split spike that we made into the corner, and then we pull up the loop and be generous here, and then the next goes into this split spike here, just between those elongated bars, checking that it comes out at the right place. Yeah, well, it does. And then again grab the loop and pull it towards the side, and again, as I said, be generous here, and then pull through both. Unlike other stitches like a DC2 together or a treble 2 together, we have yarn overs before we close that stitch that will hold those loops in place. Here we don't have that, so we have to just be mindful of giving enough yarn. And you probably saw it while I was talking, that to find this next stitch, this was almost in the way, so it was good that we had that stitch marker there. So we'll make 2 normal single crochet. I need to get a bit more yarn here, and then a picot single crochet. So this is probably the most tricky bit in here. Single crochet and then another picot, and another single crochet. So now we're going to work into this free front loop here with a DC, a double crochet, and then we're going to make a single crochet in the back loop again, and another double crochet in the same front loop that we just worked in. And you notice that we skip the stitch behind both single crochets. So here, that's, let me see, get the right one, so that's this one. Another single crochet and a picot, a little repeat, again single crochet and then a picot. Now we have 2 single crochet. And you notice that my picot wanted to go the wrong way, so I just pull it forward, keeping it on the right side of the work. And there we go again with our split spike 2 together. So the first leg goes now into this stitch. I want to keep this tight, but this part generous. And the second leg goes into the split spike that was made into the corner. Put this to the side. And really generous with this one and together. And there I have my stitch marker to show me where to continue with 1 or 6 single crochet. 3, 4, 5 and 6, and then we're going to make that spike stitch into the corner again and finish with 1 single crochet and 1 for the corner. You will possibly notice that when or where you make those split spike stitches or those 2 together split spikes, that your work may just seem to have a little bit of a welly on the side here, but that's okay. As I said, it will all be equaled out. Just make sure that you give enough room here. Don't work too tight, definitely not. Okay, and now if you want, you can place a stitch marker in this free front loop again here in the middle, and then you just repeat that on the other sides. Close with a slip stitch into the first corner, and then we meet in round 19. Round 19. Again, not a difficult one, just one where you need to concentrate and count. We start again with 1 single crochet, then a spike stitch in the round 2 below. So this is the two below the next stitch. This is the current round, which is 19, 18, 17. We'll work into the space of round 17. And then 2 more single crochet. Now we're going to make a split spike, and we go 1 ahead, starting to count from the next stitch. We go 1 ahead and 2 rounds down. So this is where we are going to insert the hook. And be generous again, pull to the side, and then a single crochet in the next stitch. And now we go back in the same stitch, again splitting it at the same space, and again a split spike, now backwards. We walk into the next stitch and then make 2 single crochet. The next stitch is a picot single crochet, and you can just quickly check if you're at the right position, because it should be made into the top loops of the split spike 2 together. So picot single, and again single crochet, 4 of them. Our next stitch is a front post, double treble, which means we yarn over 3 times, and we go ahead 2 stitches, starting to count from the next 1, 2, and 3 rounds below. 1, 2, 3 rounds below. That is the DC, or maybe you made a half treble from a few rounds earlier. We skip the stitch behind the double treble, and we single crochet in the next. Now we're going to work into this free front loop, and I'm not sure whether you have marked it with a stitch marker or not, but that's where we work in another double crochet. I'm going to just remove it for now. We skip the stitch behind the double crochet, and we single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch. Okay, thought it looked so thin here, but that's okay. And then we go back in the same front loop and we work another double crochet. Again, we skip the stitch behind the double crochet, which is this one, and we work in the next. 1 single crochet. And now we go back with a front post double treble, and this time back 2 and down 3 rounds. Okay, that's the partner of this double crochet or half treble that you made earlier. Skipping the stitch behind the front post double treble, 4 single crochet. Now we'll make another picot, and again this is in the top loops of this spike 2 together, or 2 together spike stitch. 2 more single crochet, and then again split spike, 1 ahead and 2 rounds below the next stitch. Pull up and to the side, and then 1 single crochet, and we go back again with a split spike in the same stitch. Well, and then we continue 2 more single crochet, and then again that spike stitch in the corner, and 1 single crochet to finish the side off, plus 1 for the corner. So now you can again place a stitch marker. Oh, let me grab it. There it is. I'll just leave it this way around. In that free front loop between those double crochets. And that is your round 19. Wasn't that quick? So just repeat on the other 3 sides, close the round with a slip stitch, and we'll be together for the last round of this part, round 20. So we made it to our final round in part 1 of the class square. We start with a normal corner, and then our first stitch is a single crochet in the back loop only, and the next is again a spike stitch into the same corner where we already made those spike stitches in the previous round, and continue with 4 single crochet. Now we're going to make a split spike in the same stitch again where those 2 split spikes already have been made into. Same stitch. Split spike, that's 0 minus 3. And now 5 single crochet. 5, and now a single crochet, a picot single crochet. Four more single crochet. And here we are in the middle of the side where we work another double crochet into that free front loop where you may or may not have a stitch marker. A single crochet in the back loop only, and another double crochet in the same free front loop. Take this out, and then again 4 single crochet, another picot single crochet, five single crochet, and again that split spike 0 minus 3 in the same stitch as those 2 others. 4 more single crochet, for single crochet, then the spike stitch into the corner, and our last stitch is a single crochet in the back loop only, plus the single crochet for the corner. So very quick and very easy. That's round 20. So you just repeat on the other 3 sides, slip stitch into the first single crochet of the starting corner, and that is your part 1 of the class square done. Then we will continue, Claire, with rounds 21 to 35 in part 2, and I look forward to seeing you there. And in preparation for round 22, if you want to continue using stitch markers, you can just grab this free front loop here, this one, and put a stitch marker in this one, and also put a stitch marker in each of those 3 front loops from the beginning and the end of the side. So that'll prepare you for round 21, and I'll see you there.